Well, anyway, you're all here. Who's making notes today?
I'll be making notes.
It's my turn, but Jason said he would do it for me this time, and I'll do it next time.
Okay, cool. So, Jay, you're making...
I'm transcribing my character sheet. That's...
Okay. Damn good food. Right, guys, we are starting chapter 6. So, how are you spending your points, Jason?
I'm going to put in point in toughness and agility.
So, toughness +5, agility +5.
Correct.
Sean?
I'm not sure yet. I forgot to adjust all my scores down, so I'm doing that right now, taking the -5 off of all my original scores.
Very well. Brian, you are updating your sheet. Sure thing.
Yeah.
Let's start chapter 6, and let's hope that Andy will join us soon.
Oh, he's coming back today?
No. Let's hope that he joins us soon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, last time things didn't went to plan accordingly. I mean, exactly. You've lost 2 good men, and you've left them in the accursed interior of the Plague Temple. Along with, I would also like to remind you, along with the necklace of the unfailing loyalty. You haven't taken that with you, so it's still there.
Oh, whoops.
I just
Yeah,
realized...
look at me, I was dead.
Yeah, I just realized that, after the game, I was like, the necklace.
Yeah, nobody searched our bodies or anything?
No.
No, remember we did because we were chasing after Karl.
Yeah. You didn't, search the bodies, didn't took anything. You just left them there. Francisco and Otto, wounded and sick, have emerged from the forest to see the once great city of Wolfenburg, the capital of Ostland, reduced to rubble and ruins. It lies right next to the Middle Mountains. The Middle Mountains are behind it. You can see it on the map. I've uploaded the map on Roll20 to the main screen. You can see everything there. And in front of the city, there is this huge encampment of filth, poverty, and squalor. The Crusade of the Child itself. You are making your way there through the patch of cleared trees, through the mud. It is raining slightly. The weather is nasty. It's overcast. It's windy. It's cold, and there is the smell of death coming from Wolfenburg. But you are making your way there, and I will just need to tell you how things look. So the rough trail leads down from the bluff, and it's easy to negotiate. And soon enough, you are walking in between the wooden stumps on the ground that is sodden morass of mud, excrement, and other leavings of the Crusade mingle with the ruined soil from the hordes of chaos that swept through this area some time ago. You eventually enter the camp, and the sanitation is awful, resulting in a mire of filth underfoot and a ghastly odor permeating the air, thank you, attracting the clouds of flies that are impossible to evade. Only the most organized campsites contain latrines. Most of the Crusaders spend a penny where they can, resulting in squatting men and women being a common sight whilst navigating through the throng. Such unsanitary conditions are another reason for you to watch where you put your feet. Most of the Crusaders reflect the unkempt state of their camps. They are dirty, smelly, and many carry disease. Close quarters and poor cleanliness have taken their toll on them, no doubt not helped by the large numbers of vermin scampering through the effluvia. One thing that you note as you make their way through the press are the guarded looks, the strange heraldry, and the occasional scuffle between crusaders wearing different badges, costumes, or even tattoos. Both of you roll me perception, please.
Okay. Where is perception? Oh,
Okay,
sorry. My
No.
thing just went crazy.
no worries.
I
There it
failed.
is.
Jason failed. Otto did not. Otto,
Yeah.
you've noticed that you've heard tales about this encampment before, and it was supposedly very well organized. Now the composition has changed. Many distinct groups have their own banners flying above dingy tents.
Okay.
It looks like the entire encampment is just divided into various factions. You've made your way here without Karl, unfortunately. But you notice that the tenor of the crowd is more excited, and the Crusaders chatter among themselves, even as they cast leery eyes at their rivals across the muddy paths. Some folks kneel in the effluvia, pressing their faces in the muck in gratitude of Karl's safe return, awaiting the moment when the boy issues his next command, while others renew their frantic flagellation to purge themselves of the impure thoughts and lack of faith they endured whilst Karl was gone. Shortly after you arrive, the excitement builds, and the din of many voices, all speaking, all praying, all shouting at once, becomes overwhelming. As it turns out, supposedly, you can't quite believe it, the child has returned here. And then you suddenly hear, "Friends, well met." Behind you, by the way.
Okay.
Turn the
Turn
face.
around.
Yeah.
You see a man that you haven't seen before, and standing next to the man is a strange, almost fey-like being, clothed in a long cloak. The man in question is probably someone is making noise in the background. Just FYI. Now it's gone. Okay. The man in question was probably once quite young. Unfortunately, he's not young anymore. He's aged before his time, and his once probably thick dark hair has thinned. His timid eyes are now haunted and sunken. He has sallow. What's that sound?
Oh, it's my chair. I'm moving around stuff. Sorry.
Okay. He has sallow skin, cracked lips, and is generally unhealthy because of the poor atmosphere of the encampment. The man dresses like a priest. He wears brown robes with the symbol of the hammer stitched on the breast. He carries a sling bag, a small dagger on his hip, and he smiles at you with lips that are essentially just almost bloodied because of, well, the man is sick like most people here. He has pus gathering at the corners of his lips, but the smile is genuine. The thing beside him, describe itself now, please. Brian.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm here. So I'm standing about 6'3", and I'm very broad at the shoulders, but you think that's from what I'm wearing. I have a cloak, hooded cloak that's completely covered in moss, and the shoulders are deer antlers, and I kind of have my face hidden. I'm just like standing off to the side, watching. You can see my eyes beneath my cloak. They're blue, and you can tell I'm not human.
Are you armed in any way?
Yeah, I have a bow and 2 swords. I don't have my weapons out though. I'm just standing there and just observing.
Friends, says the young man, I am Nils Freiborg, and I've seen you're coming here. You see that his eyes, even though, surrounded by like dark patches of skin because of constant, probably lack of sleep, tiredness, are full of life. Welcome to the Crusade of the Child, Otto and Francisco.
Okay, so if I recall correctly, Niels was the servant of
of the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Yeah. That said, if of course Leopold would be here, he would be shocked to see how much he has changed over the last, couple of weeks or months. Like I said, as funny as that may sound, he looks like he was doing meth for the last couple of weeks. He's described that way, honestly.
Okay.
This here is my trusted confidant. And trusted confidant, what's your name?
Me?
Yeah.
My trusted confidant, what's his name?
I'm Cadvile, but I wouldn't introduce myself. I would have someone else introduce me.
Okay, so this is my trusted confidant, Cadwile. You see that most Crusaders are too excited about the child's return to actually notice or look at the elf, because it's clearly an elf, for too long, and those that do make signs of the hammers or just quickly move past him with scared, confused looks on their faces. Otto, son of Ulrich, and Francisco from the fair Estalia. We must talk, says Nils.
I gesture my hand as to, lead the way. I say, lead the way. However you know my name.
I was going to say, I don't know that we know Niels very well, but...
you don't know him
I've
at all.
never met him.
You don't know him at all. That's the thing.
I kind of watched the newcomers.
Yeah.
I say, we seem to have the disadvantage.
Sigmar be praised that you have returned safely to us, he says. But it's not safe to talk here. Enemies surround us. Come, I know a place where you can talk before your audience with the inner circle. You are all like, huh?
Yeah. Francisco's not saying anything and just kind of starts to follow.
You follow Nils through the encampment, which is, to both of you, this is the worst place that you ever been to in your entire lives. I'm not kidding. This is hell on earth. To you, Cadwell, it is doubly so, but you are a bit more accustomed to it right now. You walk about 10 minutes or so. You see that Nils is definitely avoiding the large puddles of slime, slipping past exuberant celebrants, and finally he stops at a large white tent stained brown from use and the elements. He ducks inside and then turns to lift the flap to allow you to follow. I presume that you do so.
Yep.
Yes.
I bend over with a grunt to get inside the tent, and then I'm slow to straighten back up as I'm still mortally wounded.
Yeah, sorry. Just chewing.
Yeah. Francisco also looks for a dry spot on the ground.
Yeah, excuse me. The tent's interior is dark and smoky, pregnant with the smell of incense. A small shrine to Sigmar stands towards the back, and damp, rust-red rags cover the floor. Nils takes a seat and gestures for you to do the same. I fear that this is the only holy place left in this camp. Notice that it's empty, he says with a frown. It is no matter. We must get down to business. Let me tell you what happened here. But first, please, there's some food and drink there. And he points to a small locked chest right next to you. Help yourselves. I can see that you are starving. I will later see to your wounds.
Yeah, Francisco certainly helps himself.
Okay. Otto?
Yeah.
You
Yeah, Otto will greedily
Well,
eat some.
this is a very basic fare. It's essentially just strips.
Sorry, guys, I got out of the call for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
So what was the last thing that you've heard?
Like maybe 20 seconds.
What was the guy's name again?
Okay. You've essentially entered Nil's tent, and inside it's fairly nice for this place. There's a small shrine to Sigmar. There are racks. He sits there. He bids you to also sit, and then he offers Otto and Francisco some food and drink. Cadway, I presume that you are also there.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I've said, the fare is very basic. Strips of lean meat, of dried lean meat, and a few pieces of stale bread. And there's water with herbs, boiled water with herbs, just nothing too fancy. But you two are very hungry. And by the way, Cadway, you can see that these men are probably ill, just so you know. Nils also offered to heal their wounds when he'll finish speaking his piece. I don't know if you gentlemen were familiar with the tale of this crusade, but we were camped before Altdorf when the leaders, the inner circle, to which you will soon be going, they wanted the child to enter Altdorf to get audience before the Emperor himself and Grand Theogonist. However, various things happened, and Karl was kidnapped by evil men.
Yes, by the traitor Tobias.
You know the name. Yes, they were followed by, people that I knew. But since they are not here, I fear that the worst happened to them, and that they are no longer amongst the realms of the living. They were good men all.
They run with the wolves of Ulrich now.
And so may the wolf god watch over them. Us may the mighty Sigmar, he says. You see that Nils is he's not fanatical about his faith. He actually, acknowledges Ulrich, which is a quite surprise to you, Otto. Anyway, after that, we've soon decided that the only thing to do is to move forward, to move on. The blessed child was talking about reaching Kislev eventually, and so we've moved north. Unfortunately, along the way, many people left us, and only the most devoted chose to remain. And before the Crusade could lose more members, not northeast.
Mm-hmm.
We've headed east. Eventually, we've crossed the broken landscape of the war-torn eastern parts of the Empire, and onwards we marched. The sickness spread, factions were born, people fled, and people joined. So by the time we've crossed into Ostland, there was little left of the earnest crowds that marched towards their future. And instead, what was left is a nest of vipers, ambitious men and women who sought to profit from the mob in one way or another, he says in hard voice. By the time the Crusade reached the ruins of Wolfenburg, it was so fractured into rival groups that the people could no longer agree on which direction to travel. And so we've settled here for the last few days, trading with the locals and stripping the land of anything edible. As you've probably noticed, a pall of despair has settled on the crowd. Before, naturally, the child now, since the child now has now returned, but before, a pall of despair has settled on it, and conflict seemed to rule. There wasn't a day where someone wasn't found dead, and to make matters worse, the contagion that has followed us from before Altdorf still thrives. The yellow fever, the yellow death. claiming even more lives. But now the child has returned to us. You see that he thinks for a second or two, probably allowing for you to say something if you wish to. The elf is silent, by the way, as I presume.
Francisco's
I'm just watching.
Francisco's eyelids are getting very heavy as he kind of starts to slump and leans back on the ground, half paying attention to the dialogue, as he's still kind of a stranger to the whole plot.
Yeah, Otto says the boy has returned. We were chasing him from a foul temple, and we had almost regained him when some Kislevites, I don't know what they were, attacked us as we were fighting against the abominations. We lost track of the boy, and we only by the grace of Ulrich made it here. How did he return? Who is he with?
He returned by himself. He entered the premises of the Crusade, and he is now within the bounds of the Inner Council. Within the boundaries of the Inner Council. He spoke, I've heard, that he spoke highly of people who match your description, as well as about a dwarf and a Sigmarite priest, whom I unfortunately, I presume, lost their lives since they're not here with you.
Yes, it was a terrible battle.
I saw your coming in a dream. I never had dreams like that, but I knew that this was not that this was no ordinary dream. It was a vision sent by Sigmar himself. My companion here, and he points at the elf. What's your name, elf? Catfail. Okay, Catfail. Cadvile, sorry, is one of the few souls in the Crusade that I can trust. Look, the business with the boy, I'll be honest with you, the business with the boy has never quite sat with me. Now, I'm not denying that he may be Sigmar reborn. Oh no, I wouldn't dare. But the lad doesn't seem to have the same effect on me as he does others. Perhaps my faith isn't strong enough. It doesn't matter. If I cannot see it, I must strive harder to accept the revelation of my peers, and until then, I can work to save this boy from the evil that swirls about him. Friends, there are enemies everywhere. Just as Karl has drawn the pious, the mad, and the hopeful to his ranks, there are those who would use the boy for some foul end. We have already seen their efforts back in Altdorf, and whilst you were away, they have grown, spreading like a cancer through our ranks. All around us, the Crusaders, once united in their devotion to the boy, have now fractured, broken into different schisms built upon their own interpretations of Karl's divinity. The division has allowed undesirable elements to slip inside the Crusade and work their wickedness from within. The signs are everywhere. Certainly, Karl's return should smooth this trouble somewhat, but I fear the damage is done. The inner circle, the fools that they are, he says this very bitterly, refuse to see the signs, refuse to listen to reason, and if they don't act now, it will be too late. The matter is even more tenuous now that Karl is back for, dare I say it? I fear someone or something wants to kill the child. And he makes a dramatic pause.
Yes, we have seen it. We know that there are forces that will try to bend him to their will and try to harm the boy.
Well, at least, Francisco. He looks like he's sleeping, but he's still kind of listening. Mentions that
yeah,
there's at least two.
Well, I have no proof of that. except for a growing feeling of dread. You can see it in the faces, in the soiled rags of the plague, in the very filth in which we wallow. His life is in danger. I ask you, no, I beg you. If you have any love for this boy, please seek out this darkness and destroy it before it is too late. Even if you deny the boy's divinity, we must see this mad campaign to its end, for Sigmar has opened this path before us. And where it leads is divine will. I beg again, will you help me?
Yes, we have sworn to protect the boy.
He looks at you, Francisco.
Francisco kind of opens his eye. We? Yes, well, your friends. Well, I've got nowhere else to be.
Cadveo, you've noticed that
I'm riding these waves. Where they take me is where I go.
Okay. Cadveo, you've noticed that he didn't look at you. But, like I've written you before, Brian, you are maybe not friends, but more like comrades.
He probably understands that I can't leave if I wanted to.
Who's that?
Cadveo, the elf.
Oh, yeah.
Cadveo.
Who can't leave? Oh, so you're kind of forced in this as well, is kind of what you're saying?
No, not quite. I'm not saying this in character, by the way. Like, I'm not saying anything in character.
Yeah, the elf the elf is silent. Nils looks at all of you with gratitude in his eyes. Look, I really have no idea where you should start your investigations or whom you should talk to. And honestly, I lack anything really helpful to get you started, but all I can say is for you to keep your eyes open and watch for the signs, to put your faith in Sigmar and whichever other gods you follow, and you will see the wickedness in all its horror. I suggest that you make your way to the Inner Circle compound for the audience. I can take you there. Although, as once again bitterness returns to his tone, I am no longer welcome there, but you will be able to find me here. Seek out the shrine, and I'll be here. Now let me see to your wounds, he says.
And may we rest in your tent for some time.
After meeting with the Inner Circle, it is more important than the rest now, friend Francisco.
We've been up for days.
It is...
We may not make it that far.
You will. I have faith in you, he says.
Well, we may not share the same faith. He tries to lay back down.
Well, he will, take care of you now. He will try and, heal you up.
And in that time, Francisco is just laid out, trying to get any bit of relaxation he can.
You can add 2 wounds to your character sheet. I mean, if you've lost any.
I'm at 1.
Okay, now Sean.
Yeah.
He also passed. And let's see how well. 3 wounds to your character sheet.
Wait.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did rest for an hour and a half total. Because, he did applied salves, he gave you healing poultices, stuff like that. He also prepared some kind of herbal drink which brought you back at least a modicum of energy. Cadweo, all the while you were in the tent with them, just looking at this strange man. They are clearly barbarians, naturally. Shaggy, unkempt, with primitive, brutal weapons. Just, yeah. Your elders in Afel Loren warned you about men, that they are a pitiful race, but only by visiting the Crusade of the Child did you really understood their message. After an hour and a half, and honestly, you two, well, I mean, you are still feeling sick, but you know that there's really nothing. I mean, your organisms will have to deal with it themselves. Nils is not a medic. He has very basic medical skill, and he still managed to help you a lot. He bandaged you. You know, he even procured a bit of water for you to at least wash your face and hands in. But even so, you are feeling better, and after half an hour, Nils essentially he just drags you out of the tent. I mean, those who don't want to go out, he drags them out. And if anyone's resisting, he then asks Cadweo to help. So, just so you know.
Francisco's not going to resist, but you could certainly tell that every part of his body is aching as he slowly gets up. You hear his knees popping, and everything's in slow motion, but he makes it out on his own.
Yeah. You are making your way through the crowd once again. The crowd is exuberant. It's, you know, the atmosphere of joy and just this mad hope is everywhere, and there's a stark contrast with the horrible conditions which can be found in the Crusade's encampment. You eventually reach the number 3 on the map. You can see it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a marked contrast between the general encampment and the compound. As you draw closer, the squalor diminishes, giving way to far more sanitary conditions. Marking the edge of the compound is a thick row of stakes pointed outwards. Grim-faced and armored guards stand at the ready, their blue tabards pristine despite the clinging mud. Spears in hand and swords at their sides, they are ready to give their lives to protect the child. Beyond the perimeter is a large pavilion tent, also in blue, and adorned with the hammer of Sigmar and the twin-tailed comet, identifying this place as the heart of the Crusade. You see that Nils approaches the guards by himself. He asks you to stay behind. The guards are they react not aggressively but hostile. It is clear that this man is no longer welcome here, but he approaches them with his hands up, like palms up. Tells them a couple of words while pointing at you. They look at him, they look at you. You see that they're not exactly sure what to think, but one of them marches inside the compound, and after a few minutes returns, very, very hastily. "You there! Walk inside!" He addresses all of you. Cadweo also. But Cadweo, you can enter the compound anytime. This is where you are staying currently.
Yeah.
Are they apprehensive about us being with all of our gear?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. You are led inside a large tent through a corridor of canvas walls until you reach a large audience room. The walls are gaudy, decorated with gold and silver, and hung with brilliant tapestries depicting key scenes from the life of Sigmar. I mean, it's like, none of you really know this because none of you are Sigmarites, but, for description's sake.
Mm-hmm.
A thick carpet covers the floor of this oval room, and comfortable, upholstered chairs ring the outer edge of the chamber. In the center of the room stands a wooden platform covered in gold leaf, and on it sits a throne sized for a child. When you enter, Karl is already seated on the throne, and 6 of the chairs are occupied by the consulars. There are chairs for you, and you are invited to sit. Karl smiles warmly at you and offers you a word of welcome. "Friends, you came. Sorry. You're here." The consulars, I will describe them now, but first, Francisco, roll me willpower -30.
gonna join the club.
You, unless you want to spend luck.
No. It's inevitable.
That is the coolest tin I've ever seen.
I don't. You know the drill, Jason.
Yeah.
Otto, you see that Francisco's jaw, like, is hanging slack as he looks with wonder at the child, and you're not surprised.
He's glorious.
Yep. He is the center of your lives right now. The most important thing in your lives, and you will do anything to protect him.
Yes, we must kill everyone who does not, who wishes him harm.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4. Interestingly enough, it says that there are 6 men here, but only 4 are described. Well, scratch that, so there are only 4 consulars. Well, actually no, 6 consulars, 2 of whom are scribes. Yeah.
Okay.
You see a man sitting closest to the child. He's an older priest, wearing... it's clear that he has, a lot on his head. There's a lot of worry on his head. That said, he's about 50, maybe 60, hard to tell. He is in full plate armor. He has a gaunt face, and once brawny but now aging warrior's build. There's a warhammer and dagger at his hip. And and of course, you've also noticed, Otto and Francisco, that most of people here have some sort of blue element on them, like blue piece of clothing, a scarf, maybe a belt, even a shirt or robe, stuff like that. You deduce that blue is the holy color of the child, because even Karl, sitting on throne, he's dressed.
What color? Did you say blue?
Blue. Karl sitting on the throne is dressed in blue and white.
You guys remember that Andrew Dice Clay joke?
I don't know.
Sorry. When he used to do the nursery rhymes, like, little boy blue, he had to, we needed the money, yo! Sorry.
No worries. I will check it out later, just for, for interest.
It's not, they're all like that.
Okay. The man has a leather-bound copy of Otto Yuge's Life of Sigmar at his belt. And he looks at you with friendly eyes. He's genuinely... you can see that you probably made a very good impression on him. Right next to him is a red-faced, heavy-set, aging knight, also in full plate armor, and heraldry of the province of Middenland. Funnily enough, this man is obviously a noble, but he has something of a rural man about him. This man is would probably feel very comfortable in the field, or maybe, tending to the pigs or pumpkins. He, you see that this man is looking around him and looking at you with this look that says that he's not exactly sure why he's here. And he looks at you very suspiciously, not hostilely, but
like why we're not here, or why we are here.
Why he is here, and why all of these things is like all of these things are happening. It's like he doesn't understand what's going on.
Okay.
Finally, there's an obesely fat priest of Sigmar in black robes with gold and jeweled rings on his fingers. He's just horribly obese, and you can tell he has many chins. Around his neck is a small tarnished silver hammer. The rings on his fingers, both of you can tell that they are probably worth hundreds of gold crowns. He looks at you with clear adversity. He doesn't like you. And Cadveil, he looks at you with hatred. Like, he's not even, masking it. And finally, there's the fourth man. Describes, just FYI, describes a girl and a boy are malnourished, young, and they are very dutifully writing things on the pieces of parchment. Finally, the last man is clearly a warrior, a veteran. Grim-faced, armored in breastplate and sleeved mail shirt. He has a beautiful sword at his hip. A double-handed sword is propped alongside, against his chair. He has like 2 superior daggers on his chest, and there is also a flail on his knees.
Jeez.
His armor is also very well maintained, as well as his clothes. His clothes are clean; they're not dirty. They are in colors of the Ostland army. There is also a small locket on his neck. He looks at you as someone who potentially, measures a potential threat. To him, right now, you are hostiles. Or potential hostiles. Welcome, friends. I'm Helmut, says the priest of Sigmar.
The one that's glaring at us?
No, the friendly one.
Which one was that?
The first one, the priest of Sigmar.
So there's 2 priests of Sigmar?
Yes.
Sorry.
These are my fellow members of the Inner Council. Lord Wilhelm Eisenbach, he points at the knight, who looks at him like, yeah. Father Johannes Zeibold, he points at the very fat priest of Sigmar, who, Eisenbach, he didn't know that you, but not because he disrespects you, but because he, like I said, he is not entirely here, he's confused. But Zeibold just looks at you, and he doesn't acknowledge you. It's clear that his arrogance is almost as huge as his girth. And Kohler, the child's champion. Kohler, the soldier man, nods at you once.
Okay.
Let me hear your names.
Okay. I was gonna say just for recap, if I recall correctly, our characters have never met any of these people.
No.
But Eisenbach is one of the original ones, and is Father Johannes is he the fat one that was with Niels?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's what I thought. And then Helmut was always there, also, right?
Yes, Helmut is the priest that discovered Karl in Marienburg.
Okay, yeah. So he was the one that kissed him goodbye when we took him off to Altdorf.
Yes,
and he's the nice one.
Yes,
the nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he introduce his name?
Yeah, he said Helmut.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the champion is new. He's the Ostlander, right?
He's the Ostlander. His name is Kohler. I will write it down later. If Leopold and the old gang were here, they would see that essentially, because remember the last bodyguard of Karl was killed after he got mutated, and that was when Dieter the wizard got his first miscast and shot himself.
Yes.
And then as Tobias was unmasked as the evil cultist, it seems that Father Johannes took his place.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you this out of character. However, Cadveil, you know all of this.
Okay.
Cadveil,
how long have I been with the Crusade? Like about a month, would you say?
Yeah, let's just say that for convenience sakes, you joined right after they left Altdorf.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, cool. Please, friends, tell us about yourselves. We've heard about you from Karl, but we would like to hear your names and the tales of your deeds.
Francisco kind of bows and holds out his hand. I am Francisco Navarro from the shores of Estalia, making my way to the north before I fell upon your grace. And here I stand before you in honor.
They look at you, Otto.
I am Otto Königswald, warrior priest of Ulrich. I sensed foul presence, and it led me to the group of men that were searching for young Karl, and I too want to walk with Karl as Ulrich walked with Sigmar.
You've noticed, Francisco, that when you've introduced yourself, Eisenbach and Koller looked at you, with a sort of respect. Helmut smiled. Johannes didn't say anything. When you've introduced yourself, Otto, Helmut smiled. Lord Eisenbach nodded with bigger respect. Although you see that you don't think that he's Ulrican, despite him having Midland colors.
Right.
Father Johannes made a grimace of distaste at you.
Yeah.
And just rolled his eyes. And Koller nodded with bigger respect. And clashed his mailed fist on his armor over his heart.
Okay. Salute.
Yeah.
Got it.
I've told you about their deeds, Helmut, says Karl. Yes, you did, young master. Yes, you did. You saved the boy, and for that you have our eternal gratitude, says Helmut. He invites you to recount your recent adventures, and for simplicity's sake, let's say that it takes you about 20 minutes to recap everything, if you want to, of course.
Yes.
Francisco will, and he talks with his hands, and so he's very elaborate and theatrical with his explanations.
All right. Really, only Helmut asks you the details, and the rest are either listening, not listening, or are just sometimes outright, ignoring you. I mean, who's ignoring you, really.
Right.
After about 20-30 minutes, Helmut rises and says, "You have proved yourselves true champions of Sigmar, and you are living examples of dutiful servants of our God. I, on behalf of this esteemed council, thank you. In recompense for your bravery and your great deeds, I name each of you Templars of the Child." Helmut smiles as he snaps his fingers for a servant to appear. A scrawny girl who's missed far too many meals slips into the room, holding a black tabard for each character, including for you, Cavveo. Make perception tests. All of you.
I do not percept.
Otto, you saw Johannes frowning, Eisenbach shaking his head, and Karl scowling. Helmut places the tabard on each of you, and once he does this, he adds, "Friends, I fear this title also carries some responsibility, for you see, whilst you did achieve much against the filthy cult that had infiltrated our ranks, I fear that these villains remain in our encampment, working against our holy cause and interfering with our progress. I ask that you walk amongst the people, watch and listen for any sign of corruption, and wherever you find the agents of chaos, you have the authority of this council, nay, of this child," and he points at Karl, "to cleanse these villains with holy flame. What say you?"
I will use my greatsword to cut out this corruption.
Francisco?
Agreed.
Cavveo?
I look at the newcomers kind of cautiously, and then back at the rest of the group, and then I just nod.
All right. One last thing. Helmut tells you that because of his expertise with the encampment and his, long-term dutiful service to the child's cause, Cavveo is essentially your superior.
Okay.
It's not like you are, he's your commanding officer per se, but when it comes to making decisions, he has the final say. He will, make the decisions when it comes to that. He knows this place very well, and he has full trust of this council, just as all of you do. And one last thing also. You are, as Templars of the Child, Helmut tries to explain it to you, and you all have a feeling that it wasn't his idea, probably the asshole Johannes, but you are essentially forbidden from returning here, at least until you are summoned back. You are, as Templars of the Child, you have to remain outside of the compound, within the boundaries of the Crusade, and work there.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. And when he says that, you see that Johannes smiles under his fat nose. Cavveo. It's probably, especially, this afflicts you the most, since you were staying here and now you have to take your tent elsewhere.
I'm trying not to show any disdain on my face. I'm just trying to look expressionless.
All right. With that, the audience is over. Karl is, giving you all one last smile and nods his head in appreciation. And the members of the inner council begin to discuss among themselves in hushed voices. So so you know that this is it. Cavveo, you also know that even if you would be able to return to the compound, you know that it probably would be impossible for any of you to have a conversation with any member of the inner council just like that. They don't make themselves available for others. They are the rulers of this place. They are the ultimate law here. So you make your way outside of the tent, and you are standing in a light drizzle under an overcast sky in probably the nicest part of this horrible place. You look at each other warily.
Yeah.
You could just see my eyes under my hood, just looking at you, but not saying anything.
Well, to that, I say we get some rest before we
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. Agreed. I think we could use a good rest after our ordeal in the forest. But where do we go to root out?
Yeah, should I show them to their tent and then go back and get my stuff?
You know how this works, Cavveo. You can the best bet that you have is probably to either stash them in your own tent if you have bigger one. I don't know if you have a big enough tent or not.
I don't have one in my trappings, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, so the tent that you'll be taking now from the inner compound will be able to stash all of you inside.
Okay.
And that's probably what you have to do. because you know that the provisions and supplies here are at premium. And even though you are tempers of the child and you are trusted, it will probably be rather difficult for you to secure a tent for each of your companions and for yourself. That's one thing. The other thing, you can see that these men don't have much on them when it comes to food and drink. So probably you have to procure that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so how we didn't die on the way here is a miracle.
Yeah.
I have a tent if you want to help me break down my camp and set up elsewhere.
Francisco, wide-eyed that you finally decided to say something. Of course. Where would you like to set camp?
I just start walking away.
Well, where's your tent?
You probably have to walk after him.
Yeah.
You can clearly see that, that this is going to be, that this is not going to be an easy cooperation, so to speak.
I'll lead you guys to my tent, and then I guess we start breaking it down.
Yeah, we set about
Yeah.
breaking camp and gathering the stuff so that we can set it up somewhere else. So I'm assuming that although it says the cultist camp is number 4, it really is this whole area is the camp of the Crusade?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So we just need to find a spot that's not in the latrine pit. And,
The driest place. I'm gonna.
high ground.
This whole place is a latrine pit. If you want to find a clean spot, you have to go to one of the edges of the camp.
Sounds good to me.
You are, of course, following Elf, and I presume you help him pack things.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. We're following his lead.
You see that his tent is man-made. It was probably given to him. You don't know, because you haven't seen any dwarf or halfling or any other elf besides him here. And the Crusade itself feels very xenophobic, and the inner council feels very xenophobic, so you are very surprised that this elf is here.
As we're breaking down the tent, I do it silently, but as I'm wrapping cords up and stuff, I'm watching my new companions, kind of sizing them up, like what the reach is.
You see that they are clearly they are warriors, and they are good at what they're doing. They have taken some hits, some beating, but they are capable, that's for sure. At least when it comes to combat. One of them you think is one of them is a priest. The other is probably not a priest. You're not sure about humans. Okay, you've broken down the elf's tent. Elf, you have some food for yourself, but like I said, you probably have to secure something for your companions. You also know, Cadveo, that you are right now in some way responsible for this man. You are their leader, after all, and leader does not only commands, he also, has to make sure that his men are fed, well treated, stuff like that. You were taught this in your forest, actually.
Out of character, what is our main objective right now? Like,
you are to just go out there and look for heresy.
Within the camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think our first order of business is to set up our own campsite and get some rest for Francisco and I, and then start, essentially doing what we did back those eons ago, and just start walking around and trying to overhear stuff, gossip and whatnot.
That's true. You can see that these men are on their last legs. They will at least need a day of rest. You guess that you'll be probably able to start your first duty shift tomorrow morning, but this man need to rest.
Yep.
Brian?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so, I'm mainly talking to you because, like I said, you are their superior. They will follow you.
So, what time of day is it right now?
Early afternoon.
So once we break down my camp, I'd lead them to the other part of the Crusade camp where we're supposed to set up.
You can choose whenever you wish, by the way.
Do what?
You can choose. You can choose any place you wish. You weren't told the exact location.
We just have to remain within the camp.
Yes.
That was one of the requirements.
Yes.
There are stables, right?
No. You have to your horse probably stays here, unless you want to lose it, because you know that if you take your horse to the Crusade, it will simply get eaten.
Okay, so I guess I don't have my horse with me. I guess it stayed back home.
No, in the compound. It's in the compound. It's it's within the walls of the compound. Then. Yeah, yeah. Because there are other horses there. Horses of Eisenbach's Knights, for example.
Yeah. Don't you remember Dieter talked to the horses that one time?
Can I try to find someone to feed my horse while I'm away? Because I won't be allowed back in here.
You're not feeding him yourself anyway. There are people here doing so.
Okay. Yeah. So follow me, guys. I lead them to a spot closer to the entrance of the camp.
Which one?
To
let me show you.
Is there a bigger map I'm not seeing?
No. This is the camp. There is no entrance to the camp. There are no walls.
Okay,
here.
I follow you. I guess close to the like around number 5.
Okay, somewhere here, for example.
Yeah, like close to the tree line.
Okay. Wait. Okay. So let's say that maybe here.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, excellent. So you're following the elf through the horrible conditions of the Crusades encampment. You can see that the people are already returning to their divided state. You've seen more than once fights breaking out. You've seen people, just shitting and pissing in the open, in between the tents, or sometimes even on the tents. You've seen people boiling food that is probably some kind of sludge with rats, and living in abject squalor that you didn't thought was possible. There seems to be no organized militia or police force here, except for various factions who govern their own pieces of the camp. Gangs, if you will. More than once you were given an STI from some, few toughs, but when they saw the tabards, they relented. Eventually you've reached the place. It took you a good 20 minutes, by the way, if not more. At the edge of the forest. Cadwell, what about the food, which I've already mentioned before?
Yes, so I guess I have to hunt. That's why I wanted to be on the forest edge.
Well, you know that this will be hard because hunting parties have already cleared the forest, this part of the forest, long time ago. I've mentioned that the Crusaders, they've just swept through these parts of Ostland, near the ruins of Wolfenburg and have taken everything edible. You know, there is very little game in the forest. You can hunt, but it will be hard. That's why I've asked you when you were still in compound, if you are going, for example, to quartermaster and ask him for food.
Oh, shit, I can't get back in there?
You know that now it's probably a bit too late for that.
Perhaps you can send message through one of the guards. Like you're still under some authority. I would imagine that they'd be willing to supply.
You know that this won't be any problem. There won't be any problem with that, Cadveil. The guards will give you food. Just as Francisco told. That said, you will have to either go there yourself or send a runner. Of course, I don't know if you trust any runner to do that.
Yeah, I'll help get the camp set up, and then I'll go back and.
All right, sure thing.
They could take their nap, and I'll go get some food.
Okay. So you set up your camp at the very edge of the forest. There are people, of course, all around you. Like, don't... you are still within the boundaries of the Crusade, but they are giving you... I mean, you have enough of privacy, so to speak. And you are right next to the wall of trees. Which, by the way, Otto and Francisco, you're not feeling entirely comfortable with that. Just so you know.
I am.
Yes, Elf is loving it, but you guys are not. That said, after you've set up the camp, after you've dug, a small hole in the ground, not far from when you are staying, after you've prepared the fire for your evening meal, and you've set the tent, which is big enough for all three of you to live inside relatively comfortable. Although this is a very basic tent, the elf leaves you and goes to fetch food, and I guess that you guys are taking a nap.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So before we continue, let's take a 5-minute break, okay, guys?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Alright, I'm back. Sorry if that took too long.
I'm here.
back too.
Yeah, I just figured I'd get something to eat real quick.
I'm actually surprised you guys didn't object to me setting up the camp right next to the woods.
Well, I think it's kind of a go figure, and then you also have, well, to be honest, it's probably, it's all crappy, but it's probably more on the cleaner side,
Yeah.
the drier side.
Well, I think
I was thinking it's more practical. If something happens in the camp, we can slip out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think also it did seem to make sense to not be in the middle of the cesspit.
Yes, I was hoping it'd be on the edge, but Francisco isn't in a state of mind to get into any arguments, and being on the forest is nerve-wracking. But if you're with a elf, I think it's kind of like, well, if we have to, at least we have somebody that knows what they're doing.
Also, in my
we
character's
hope.
backstory, he grew up sort of on the edge of the forest in the swamp up there in Midland.
I don't have a place of birth yet. I have to figure that out.
Somewhere elfy.
It would be a glade between here and Altdorf, though. So I wanted to talk to Michael about it.
Well, other thing is it the Lorelorn Forest?
That's south. That's, I think, on the other side.
Yeah, we're not near any major.
Well, we teleported because we were we weren't far from Altdorf. Then we kind of teleported to Wolfenburg, which is actually quite a long way.
No, we didn't teleport. No, we weren't near Altdorf at all. We were near Wolfenburg when we found the Villahan and stuff like that.
We've been in the woods for a long time.
We'd been in the woods for a month, for like 27, 30 days.
Yeah, but we were in the Drakewald forest.
Yeah, but the Drakewald was huge.
Yeah, but it's not anywhere near Wolfenburg.
Really? I thought it extended all the way.
Um.
Well, I haven't looked at the map for a while. I mean, yeah, it's not clear to me
Yeah.
how big some of these things are, but I mean, it's like solid forest everywhere in the middle of the Empire.
Yeah.
Which I don't totally understand, but we get to Gitzmans.
Forest. Where's north? See, my problem is there's maps of the Empire, and then the map, and they're all kind of different. And the one I'm used to is the Total War game map, and that seems quite a bit different than
Total War Warhammer map is different to the original maps.
And that's what I'm used to because I play that game quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm always a little turned around on which way's north and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm just opening Gitzmans right now, but I mean, I was following our route on the Gitzmans map the last time because we went from Altdorf, we went north up the road, and then we started cutting through the Drakewald. We went past Untergard. Yeah, so we sort of like headed up. I don't know. There's a road leading up north out of Altdorf towards Middenheim, and somewhere along the way we cut across country to Untergard, and then through the woods through Hochland. And there was one other town that we mentioned besides Untergard, I thought.
Past Talabheim.
Yeah, so we sort of, so if you look, there's Oh, Delbers. Yeah, so we cut off the road towards Middenheim at Delbers, and then across to past Untergard, and then we made it essentially through the forest, through Hochland, to near Wolfenburg. And I forget if there was another town that we ever skirted by or not.
Man, those all of those towns, I think, are featured in the Enemy Within in one way or another. Like, yeah.
Well, those are the two that I remember you saying, because there was something about wine, and there was something about don't go to Untergard because there's like dead people there or something like that. And so we sort of and I mean, I don't know, because I know this Gitzman thing, he sort of like compiled a lot of different
Gitzman is great. Yeah.
A lot of different things, but we essentially, because we were just having the Drackwald Forest. Like if you're looking at Gitzman's, it does still say Drackwald Forest next to the big Hochland banner and it's just south of the Gloomfang Forest Goblin Tribe. It still says Drackwald, so we were just having a conversation about like where the hell we were and how we teleported.
I think that right next to Wolfenburg, it's not Drackwald anymore, I believe.
Well, well now it's saying like Schützen Forest is the next one. But yeah, I mean that's the thing, is that everything is forest here. Where the Drackwald ends and the next forest begins.
The Empire is mainly a forest covered country. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so Forest of Shadows is north of the Middenheim Mountains, or the Middle Mountains.
So, I think I have the map that you sent us. Where Bretonnia would be on the other side of the Grey Mountains, correct?
Yes.
And then that's also where the main land of the Wood Elves is?
Yes.
It's like mountains, Wood Elves, then Bretonnia, essentially?
Well, Afel-Lorraine is to the south of... In the southern part of Bretonnia, but it's on the other side of the mountains.
Yeah.
Technically, it's part of Bretonnia, but of course, the King of Bretonnia does not take claim to it. Yeah.
Okay, and then Marienburg. Where's Marienburg?
Yeah, Marienburg.
Is that on this map?
Marienburg is supposed to be to the west. It's supposed to be to the west.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I just wasn't sure if it was on this map. It doesn't appear to be.
Yeah.
Like follow the river west from Altdorf, then eventually you'll hit Marienburg. Something like that.
West and north.
Yeah. River turns north past the wasteland.
Just looking at Gitzman's. Yeah, Drackwald is also that whole forest between Midland, Hochland, that's all Drackwald. According to because it's labeled twice, once under the Middenland thing and once near the Hochland thing.
I think if you check in Sigmar's Heirs, there's a good description if it's still Drackwald or not, like in Ostland, in Wolfenburg. But anyway, Brian, you here?
I'm trying to put my weapon in. It says you attempted to use a roll command looking for the value of a selected token, but no tokens are selected. What does that mean? Tokens.
Honestly, I have no idea. Wait a second.
It does that sometimes. I don't think you have to worry about it too much.
Yeah, I see that you have sword, shield. Everything's okay here.
And the elf bow is the one that won't work though. The swords work.
But I see that the elf bow has all of its stats inputted, range, damage, stuff like that. So everything is fine.
But yeah, just to be clear, I've had that happen to me before too. And the worst case scenario is you just roll on your weapon skill instead of on the weapon itself.
You have mail, Brian?
Yeah.
So remember that you have
leather.
Okay, so remember you have -10 to your agility during.
-10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not only during combat.
As a heads up, in about an hour and a half would be kind of like a drop dead time for me. I gotta get some stuff done this evening.
Yeah, I mean it's at this time we are usually ending anyway, so it's all fine, I think.
Yeah, like I just want to I still have plenty of time, but if it gets really drawn out, like in an hour and a half, whatever that is for everybody, that's kind of when I need to be done.
Okay, sure.
But
Cool.
So, we are returning. Cadwayo, you've returned to the camp. You've spoken with the guards, and one of them went back inside and then returned with a few canvas packs full of rations. You know that they will be rather basic. They should last you all for like 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
He then told you that if you need more, to just return to him. Okay.
I nod
All right.
underneath my hood.
He also nods. You see that he's not probably very happy to be speaking with you, but he just nods and wishes you a good day, Master Elf. Stuff like that. You return to your camp. Your companions are already fast asleep under their dirty blankets.
Can I be discreet with the rations as I walk through the camp?
Yeah, let's roll for agility.
It's -10 there.
Oh.
So no, I wouldn't have passed.
Right. Well, many people were looking at you with hungry eyes, and some of them even followed you for a bit, asking for a morsel or two of food. But I presume you didn't give them any, so.
No.
And they didn't bother you. They were like, just a bit of food, sir, please. We're starving, please. But when they saw that you're not giving them anything, they just, they decided to leave you alone. After all, you do look intimidating enough for them to not risk it. When you return, you see that your comrades are, like I said, are fast asleep. So,
I'm gonna stash the food in the tent, somewhere discreet, I guess, if that's possible. And then I want to ask Isha for her blessings over our camp, like facing the woods.
Okay, sure. Well, I mean, you can really stash it in any super secure way. You can stash it like under one of your, under your blanket, stuff like that.
Yeah, just.
But that's it. And what then? It's still afternoon, not even late afternoon for you. But you know that your comrades will be out until probably next morning.
Yeah, can I set some 2 small traps on the tree line?
Sure, okay.
Maybe like 50, 100 feet back or something.
Okay, roll for that. I mean, roll for setting traps. I presume that you have.
What stat am I rolling for with that?
Setting traps. Wait.
I have it set as agility, but I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, that is agility.
Okay.
Okay, cool, awesome. You set traps.
Do I need to roll for it?
No, it's fine now. You'll probably be checking these traps tomorrow, early tomorrow, I presume.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it took you like half an hour to set a few traps. How many traps do you have, by the way?
2.
2. Okay. Yeah. You've set 2 of them, not far from your encampment in the forest, and you're hoping that you're going to catch something nice. Something that you all be able to enjoy. Because this food that you've got, that it's like, it ain't no delicacy. Let's just say. It ain't no delicacies. Sorry. I presume that you're just waiting for the next day, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna people watch for the rest of the day, but I assume my companions need a full day's rest.
At least, yeah. I mean, it won't be like full 24 hours rest, but you guess that if they'll rest till like 8 in the morning next day, they should be fine enough. At least you hope so. Next day comes, but first I will need for Jason and Sean to roll.
Goodness.
Okay.
So there's monsters in the trees.
No, someone with small penis just drove under my house.
Oh, that was yours?
Yeah. No, I mean.
Not the penis.
I know. Yeah.
Are we rolling willpower?
No way. Oh my god, sorry.
Toughness?
Let me quickly see.
I think I passed all my toughness rolls last session.
Yeah, but okay. I need to open the book. Excuse me, boys, for a second.
See if we stink up Cadfell's tent.
Yeah.
How is it pronounced?
Cadvale. Oh, yeah.
Vale?
That's
FSV? Okay.
yeah. That's. Thank you for reminding me, Jason.
Cadvile.
Cadvale.
Cadval.
Like the wasn't there a Brother Cadfael show?
It's like a BBC, right?
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
Derek Jacobi, I think.
It's like an old Welsh name.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool name for an elf.
All right, let's
Yeah.
start with Francisco.
Alright.
Make me 2 toughness tests.
I'll use the luck for that.
All right, first leg goes. Nice. Second toughness test. Nice.
Nicely done.
Okay, how much? Now, Otto, you have you weren't able to fight it much longer. You have bloody diarrhea.
Okay.
Oh, in the tent?
So you were getting up few times during your rest, and you went outside, but squatting over the hole. But the thing was so bad that yeah, it's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Okay.
Not only that, but you also
Just Brown wins again.
yeah, you also notice that you have this like small brown like dots on your skin,
Yeah,
and they are itching.
Okay.
But make me for now single. Right now, because you failed once, I believe that test.
Yeah,
You
I had
have-
here that I had -10
No,
from shitting.
You
No,
have
that's not-
you have -5 to all statistics, and you have -10 to all statistics. Yeah, so you have
Right.
-15 to all statistics.
Well, I already added in because I thought the -5 was permanent.
It is. It is right.
yeah,
I mean,
so
for
it's-
now it's permanent. Yeah.
Yeah, so I already subtracted that off of my character sheet. So then I just have to remember the additional -10, and then I have, because of the brown rash on my hands, chest, and face, I think it said, I have a -20 to fellowship. But I didn't remember.
To only fellowship, you have -10 because of the diarrhea. So
Right.
roll me a -15 toughness test.
Okay.
You
Nope.
you want to use luck?
Yeah, I only have 1 luck, but I'll use it
Okay.
just to try. Although, no, I need to roll a 20, huh? Alright. Nope.
You have additional -5% to all statistics.
Okay.
So when you've woken up next day, by the way, if you want to like have watches, Cat Vale, you will need to like watch yourself, because your friends won't be able to take a watch. You know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I asked, so Cadfael, is it?
Yeah.
What is happening in town? Are there any? Is there any people left in town? Are there any healers in town? I'm very sick.
Have I been to town?
You haven't been to the town because the town is destroyed. Only desperate people live there. You've heard tales, but you would have to ask more yourself about this place. Wolfenburg was one of the first places that the Chaos Horde attacked during the invasion. And it's been essentially reduced to rubble. Only if, like, the rebuilding supposedly is underway, but since Ostland was never a very rich province, it is slow going and it's not very effective. That said, I presume that you are talking around probably a campfire when you're preparing breakfast. Cadveo, you see one thing, that Francisco has this... You think that he begins to have blisters on his face, and he's shivering. He also smells really bad, even for a human. Otto has the same, but between the blisters he has this small, like, brown dots. He shits himself regularly, and he looks very weak. Like, when you have minus 20% to all statistics, that means that you are essentially very, very weak.
Yeah.
We are not well.
Well, Cadveo apparently...
Is there anything outdoor survival can do?
No.
I'm gonna ask around camp then, I guess, and suggest they do the same, looking for somebody that could heal them.
You don't have to roll for that. There won't be anyone here. In this camp, these people here are beggars. They are half human essentially. They are living in filth. They are disgusting, disreputable, dishonorable, fanatic rabble. Those of them who are not who haven't degenerated to a level of beastmen almost, are usually tough, merciless gangsters.
I'm sorry, you won't be able to find any aid here, humans.
Do you think there's any aid within the inner circle, medication or a physician that could come out to see us?
I don't think so, right?
No. I mean, you are quite sure that Helmut is versed in healing, but you know also that, you've been given duty. They inner circle wants results. They don't want to hear that you're sick. They don't care.
Yeah. I suggest let's go. Let's begin our search for heretics in the town, and at the same time look and see if there's a healer.
A grim drizzle falls over the fetid morass of the camp, making the dismal place even more distasteful. As you are scraping the clinging mud from your boots, a sudden scream rises above the perpetual din of the camp and draws your eyes up from the dirt. A man is staggering drunkenly through the throng, clutching at his throat. His face is a livid purple. His legs finally giving way, he collapses into your camp, a last death rattle escaping his lips.
Camp?
Yes, your tent.
In front of our tent.
Yeah.
Can I push him away?
Wait. Cavveil. With shock, you realize that the dead man is Ali the Strigani, Ahmed's father. His black tongue lolls from a slack mouth, and an empty wineskin dangles from his lifeless fingers. The wineskin has a stylized coiled serpent motif embossed upon its surface.
Can I examine it?
You examine the wineskin, or are you trying to do something about the man that you've known for like few weeks, who was friendly to you alongside his son, who just fell onto your tent.
He's a very disciplined elf.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Brian, what was that?
I'm gonna check to see if he's dead. I mean,
He is. You see that. Well, I presume that all of you are looking upon it.
Yeah.
Yes, Otto,
Well, yeah.
Otto draws his sword.
Yeah. You are nervous, obviously, at this point, but you see that no other threat materializes. Of course, a couple of Crusaders, are standing in a safe distance, pointing at you and at the dead body and, speaking to themselves. He's dead, he's dead. What happened? I don't know. Karl, save us. Sigmar, save us. Stuff like that. You look at the man's body. Oh, by the way, Otto and Francisco roll for perception. Alright, nice. Otto, you have -20.
Yeah.
No. Francisco, you saw that the elf looks at this man as if he seems to know him. You saw that
Okay.
for only a split second. But yeah, you're pretty sure that the elf knows him.
he was poisoned, or
Well, you are looking for cause of death. First of all, he has no actual injuries. Does any one of you has healing?
I do actually.
Roll.
But right now, Francisco is kind of looking into the crowd and seeing if there's any other, trying to get a gauge on other people's expressions, seeing if there's somebody who's more,
No.
I guess, resolved.
No. The
Okay.
people have this mix of fascination and dread when they look at what's happening.
Okay, so following that, then I'll
-10 heal skill.
assist. All right.
Can
so
I assist him on his heal?
No, not really, because he is trying to determine whether the man is dead. You can roll by yourself, Sean. -10 heal skill,
Okay.
so -30 total.
Okay, well, give it a shot. Why not?
Okay. No.
Ooh.
what is
Oh.
is heal agility?
No, heal is
No, it
intelligence.
should be intelligence. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
Why does
House
my
MD
heal-
over here with his 8.
Yeah.
Hold on. This is just a test.
No, that was.
Well, yeah, it was set to agility.
Ah,
And I
okay,
just
it
wanted
was-
to make sure I set
Okay.
it to.
Well, now
to
it's
heal.
worse because now you've batched.
No, I would have passed.
No, because it's -10.
What? No, I was testing it.
But now
No,
you've
no.
rolled second time, and it's still -10. You've rolled 33.
Yeah, but he
I was
failed
testing.
with the 95 though. Yeah.
Yeah, I failed with the 95, and then
Yeah.
I realized that
He wasn't
the
using buck or anything.
no, I was. If you look at my first roll, it says out of 53. I was
Yeah.
wondering why it did 53, and so I switched it from agility to intelligence, and I was just testing to make sure it was rolling
okay.
off of intelligence.
Okay.
That's what I meant by this is just a test.
Okay.
It's not a.
Okay, so roll now.
Oh, we're rolling again.
Well.
Well, no, he already
Yeah,
failed.
he rolled
That's
the
not-
95.
Okay. Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm dumb. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So that's strange. Why it didn't took caught the intelligence before? I don't know.
It was it's something that I have to manually put in, and I have to select the attribute, and I just had it on the wrong attribute, so I was
Yeah.
just making sure it was on the correct attribute.
Okay. Sure.
For advanced skills, you have to input it yourself.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why that is, but
I-
well,
I-
it's because you have to put in the skill. The
I
whole
never
thing.
do that. I just roll and compare
Oh.
this to the written stats. That's easier for me. Okay. Anyway, Francisco, you didn't saw anything, unfortunately. I mean, you have no idea what was the cause of suffocation. However, Otto, you know that I mean, you know that the cause of death was suffocation. First of all.
Okay.
So sorry, Francisco, you don't know that the cause of death was suffocation. You don't know how this man died. Otto, you know that he died because he suffocated, and it was not caused by choking on a foreign object. Yeah, his tongue is black and swollen. Really swollen. It just falls out of his mouth. So, is anyone doing anything else? Like I've said, the man has the wineskin in his hand.
Can I smell it? Like, examine that?
Yeah, you have trade herbalist.
I do not.
Do you have... Okay, you are an elf. You have anything about making maybe potions or stuff like that?
I have an antitoxin kit.
No. I mean skills and talents. I don't care what kind of gear you have.
Would survival?
Outdoor survival is the only sort of relevant.
So roll minus, if you want to know, roll minus 30 outdoor survival.
Minus 30. Okay. Oh.
You've passed. Excellent.
Wow.
You smell the wineskin. There was in fact wine inside. Inside there was also venom. And you know what kind of venom? Chokeweed extract. You know that chokeweed extract is not really used by your people, but sometimes it is used by the elves living near the Vaults of Winter in Athelloren. The clans who live there are usually very merciless and sometimes work as assassins. They even sometimes assassinate nobles who do not meet their exact standards of loyalty to the forest. And chokeweed extract essentially is, of course, it is also used by humans, despicable race that they are. It is prepared by brewing the roots of a chokeweed plant with fluids drained from the bile duct of a common cat. And you know that it has to be imbibed to be effective, and it simply makes the person who drinks this choke to death.
I'm gonna explain that to the humans.
Yeah, victims of this foul brew, you know that, usually exhibit a swollen and black tongue. You've heard supposedly that within the human realms, chokeweed extract is also very expensive.
It's not native. The chokeweed plant is not native to here.
Chokeweed plant can be found almost everywhere in the old world.
Okay.
But the process is expensive, right?
Yes, the making of this poison is very expensive. You know that. Cafeo, although you do not know the exact price, and of course I presume that you are telling this to your companions.
Right. I don't understand money that well though, so I'll just explain it in the amount of work that goes into extracting it.
So I imagine the culprit has some coin to spend.
I look at the wineskin. You said there was some kind of marking on it?
Yes, it is a mark of a coiled serpent motif.
I ask Cadfael, hey, have you seen this mark around the camp before?
You haven't, just so you know, Cadfael.
I shake my head.
It would be rather reckless for an assassin to leave his mark. Though perhaps it's a red herring.
Can I take the poisoned wineskin and like put it in my bag? Like I'm gonna save it.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
We should find where this wine comes from and destroy it so that no one else gets poisoned.
Otto and Francisco, roll for Common Knowledge Empire.
And that's intelligence, right?
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Francisco, you don't have common knowledge Empire, I presume.
I actually think I.
If you do, you can roll. If you don't, you can still roll. Actually, you can just roll. If you can roll on common knowledge.
Have it.
Okay, cool. So both of you roll.
And that's intelligence.
Should
Alright,
be.
so
Cadveo, if you have common knowledge Empire, of course, you can also roll.
I am rolling the dice. It's in the process.
If I have minus 20 to everything, I don't make it.
All right. You have common knowledge Empire, Brian? Wow, cool.
I actually do, yeah.
Wow, awesome. Okay, so Francisco and Otto, you're like serpent, while Cadveo is like, you know what this sign means. It's not a mark of an assassin. It is probably the maker's mark of the tradesman who made the flask.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably
Okay.
yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Whoever made this this wine skin, this is their mark.
Okay, so
What direction did he come from when he came stumbling over here?
He came from within the camp. You also not know that you won't be able to track him. Already, the tracks have been, trampled by couple dozen people. It will be impossible for you to track it. Oh, and I presume that you haven't read the item's description, Brian?
No, the file didn't work.
Okay.
I couldn't open.
Okay. I will later send it to you in a different way. Okay, no worries. Right. So.
I believe we need to find wherever these wineskins are and destroy them so that no one else in the camp is poisoned.
does the wineskin look new? I think
no.
the only way we can really make that irrelevant, the maker's mark, the only way that would be relevant if it was recent, I think. So I don't know if that's. But yeah, we should see where people are getting wine around here. I would imagine that would be a rather
you haven't seen people
exotic.
This man has a son that we must alert.
Let's start with his son then. Let's find the son, and maybe we can find where his father bought the wine.
We should do it quickly in case he too has poisoned wine.
Let's check his belongings and make sure the body goes to the right place.
Check his wallet.
Yes, he had 5. 4 gold crowns.
Dude, whatever he has, unless it's relevant to solving the murder, it should go to his son.
You've checked his belongings. He has a very thin purse with about 5 pennies inside. And
4 pennies.
5 pennies and a short curved knife that he had at his hip. By the way, what are you doing with the man? Are you just letting him lie on your tent?
No, we're gonna move him, but when people die around here, where do we take them?
They usually stay where they died.
Okay.
Sometimes
perhaps we can shade him in the forest and then notify his son, and then we can deal with the body.
Let's definitely get the corpse out of the entryway of our
Yes,
tent.
yeah, we could put him in shade just within the forest line, and then we can meet with the son and see how he wants to address the situation. If that's your will, Herr Elf.
I nod. There's really no nice way to go about it.
No. Well, we can, get him out of
prop him up and put some sunglasses on.
weekended
Let him guard our tent.
A scarecrow. No,
We
you can.
We can attach a string to his arm and a wind vane. That way it looks like he's moving every so often.
You can put him in a dabbing pose.
Yeah.
Like he's dabbing all the time. Okay, yeah. I mean, you brought him in between the trees, and you've propped him against one of the trees. Caveo,
I say a little prayer to.
By the way,
when,
this man, Otto and Francisco, I mean Otto, it's more clear to you. This man is clearly a Strigany.
Mm-hmm.
One of the wandering folk of the old world, and they are not exactly liked. Almost anywhere they go, they are mistrusted.
They're wanderers, though, so I respect that.
Yeah, that's why you had a relatively good contact with Ali and his son, because they didn't treat you with fear. They treat you with respect. To them, you were almost like them. A wanderer. His son is. I'm going to. Wait a second.
It was Ahmed.
Ahmed, yeah. His son lives here at the edge of the camp. I will later give names to the map, but for now, I'll just use crosses. So you are going there, I presume, all of you. Otto Otto has to stop every couple dozen steps and just relieve himself in between the tents, just right next to one path or another. People don't even they don't even
that guy at the music festival.
Yeah, they don't even comment on that. They just, mainly because at one point, Otto, you've squatted and you see that meter from you, another man squatted in between the tents, and he's like, "Hello there,"
Yeah.
as he takes a massive dump, right under him.
Yep.
So yeah, that's how it works. Eventually, you reach the northern part of the town. Of the Crusade's encampment, and yeah, you see the wagon, the Strigany wagon. Caveo, you are quite familiar with it. The paint is chipping, but it's still covered in gaudy colors, and there are no tents anywhere near it. People are avoiding it. And even as you approach, you can clearly see marks of mud and feces on the surface when it was hit by a projectile.
Now, what
Projectile.
what
Yeah.
what does Estalia think of the traveling folk?
The
they
same thing as the Empire.
Okay. Well, it seems like they are in a position of luxury now.
Although there are not that many of them in Estalia. They are mainly in the Empire and Bretonia, and yeah, that's it. Empire. Really.
What projectile hit the wagon?
Shit.
Yeah, somebody threw shit at it.
I mean, Caveo, it's been you saw that before. From time to time, people just throw things at them. Like I said, they are not liked.
And didn't knock on the door.
All
as
right.
I'm doing that.
The door opens and you see the familiar face of Ahmed, the Strigany. The boy looks at you. He is, he's rather young. Very, very young, actually. Wait a second.
He has big wide eyes, and he's like, "Are you here with my father? My father is so nice to me. I love my father. Have you seen my father?"
Yeah.
I'm gonna show him the wineskin. I'm not gonna go into why.
Oh God. Okay. That's okay. So we're just showing the.
Oh, that's my father's. I do love my father.
I mean, I'm looking at it practically. Time is precious here, and his father's gonna still be dead either way. So.
Yeah, you show it to the kid, He's, small, thin, with dusky skin and jet black hair. Oh, hello there, Mr. Elf. Nice to see you. Have you seen my pa? He went out into the encampment. I've made him some breakfast, I did.
Where did he go in the encampment?
Oh, he just went to run some errands. Why are you asking? You looking for
Did he
his?
buy any wine?
I don't think so, sir, no.
Where did he get this? And I show him the wineskin.
I never saw it on him, sir. Wait, is this his? Where is he?
I'm gonna put my hand on his shoulder and say, "You should follow me."
He ran off with a woman.
He looks at you with very frightened eyes. Sir Elf, is my pa alright?
I shake my head.
He begins to cry.
Someone poisoned him.
He begins to wail.
Who would hurt your father?
His tongue went out. It's big and black, Oh, by the way, we left him in the forest, so the wolves probably ate him by now. No, I mean...
Yeah, I just left him here a minute ago.
You're coming back and there's a skeleton. No, of course. I mean, the kid, when you said, someone poisoned him, he literally gets hysterical. I don't know. Everyone's hate us. Stuff like that.
I'm gonna keep my hand on his shoulder and let him do his thing.
Yeah. In the background, Otto takes a dump.
Between dumps, Otto's gonna try to see if he can talk to anybody and see if they know where Ahmed's father Ahmed went.
Ahmed's father Ali. Yeah.
Ali. Where Ali went this morning.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So you're like.
I can while I'm shitting, I can talk and strike up a conversation. Run around and shit.
He's like 10 feet over.
Oh.
Hi there.
Oh, but I forgot I have minus whatever fellowship. I'm probably not gonna be real.
I'm gonna do kind of the same thing. I'm gonna go to the other traveler folks' wagons and see if there's any.
There are no other. This is the only one.
It's just one wagon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see if there's anybody around who can tell me where if they saw.
No. And when you are in between, one shit and another, ask them about Ahmed and Ali. They usually spit and say, "Strigani scum," filthy dogs, honorless curs. Karl should burn them out with his holy light. Undead lovers.
I want to ask Carvale. Carvale?
Carvale.
Cadvale.
Cadvale, sorry.
Cadvale.
Michael.
Karl, does he have any other family?
You know that he's not Cadvale.
I shake my head.
What are we to do with the child?
Well, I want to bring the child to his father's body first.
Alright. Yeah, Otto, so you had no luck. Are you asking about anything else?
Has anybody seen wineskins with a coiled serpent on it?
When you are asking that, one of the Crusaders says, "Oh, miner, well, that information, you would probably be able to find it in the headquarters of the Saddlemakers and Leatherworkers Guild of Wolfenburg, eh?"
Saddle makers and
Leather workers, yes, sir.
yeah.
They have, they have ledgers of all the makers of leather things and their symbols. It's within the somewhere within the premise of the city. That said, I should warn you, the building will probably be ruined, just like all of the Wolfenburg.
Well, can't hurt to look.
Ask around the encampment where you can find it. Maybe we have some folk from Wolfenburg here, quite a few, in fact. It's safer here than within the ruined walls of the once proud capital of this province.
Thank you for your advice.
Anytime, sir. And with that, you feel like the shits are coming back. It's time to squat. Cadvale, you are preparing to take, Sheikh and Ahmed, who's all red because of the hysteria and the tears, to see his father's body.
On our way,
I'm gonna explain his last moments.
Oh my god!
in extreme detail. We're all sticking together, right?
Yeah, you are.
I'm gonna ask the boy if where his father frequents as far as when he goes around camp.
He doesn't know. He wasn't allowed to follow him. His father beat him when he snooped in his, around his business. When you tell him, Cadweo, how his father went out, he once again began to wail and cry.
Can we search the wagon while we're here? I just thought of that.
Probably you can. I mean, although the boy won't stop you.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a good search.
Inside, it's very colorful. There are a lot of colorful pillows, rags, lots of frying pans and other tin.
While he's doing that, I'm gonna
utensils.
try. While he's doing that, I'm gonna try calming the kid by telling him about some story about being on the coasts with the ships and how pretty they are, and how the wagon, even though it looks decrepit, reminds me of the ships that I used to see on the. And I'm just trying to distract him.
This is like a Donald Trump speech or something.
Okay.
Ship of the desert.
Yep. Land ship.
Okay, roll minus 15 fellowship. Because this is so bizarre.
Well, I'm just trying to distract him because
I
his
know,
father.
I know.
I know your father just died, but once I was on a big
damn.
ship. That ship.
Your father went down like a ship. Actually, Francisco, you are pretty good with little boys. Sorry, that I didn't mean that. I mean that you are able to calm children.
Not the priest in this case, but
Yeah, you are able to you are able to calm him enough for him to just listen to your fantastic tales of faraway lands, of seas and ships, and you've of course opted to leave the analogy of his father sinking to the grave like a galleon that you saw once. The child is like, he looks at you quite captivated. He's still sobbing and he's still like in tears, but he is calmer a bit. Meanwhile, Cavveo, because Otto, you were busy. Meanwhile, asking about the motif of on the wineskin. Cavveo, you've searched the interior of the wagon. You haven't found anything suspicious or anything that could, lead to Ali's death. They were just living there. They are living inside the wagon, and but there's nothing there.
no ledgers or anything.
No. You don't think that either of them could write and read? They are very,
Okay.
simple people. I mean, from what you knew, that Ali was selling pans and other kitchen utensils made from tin and iron, and that's it. And Ahmed was he just he was offering to shine other people's shoes or carry their swords, stuff like that. You also know that he probably was stealing from time to time things from other crusaders. Yeah, well, anyway, Francisco, calmed the kid enough so that after Otto finished asking about the wineskin and also finished his last round of shitting, you are able to return to the campsite, I presume, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
you're taking the kid with you. Okay. Another 20 minutes passes and you are at your place. You move in between the trees and you see Ali's body prompted against a tree.
With sunglasses on.
We should probably dig a hole for him and say a few words over him.
Yeah, when of course he sees his father, Ahmed is like, ah! And he runs to him and hugs his corpse. The tongue comes out. The black swollen tongue comes out from his mouth. The body falls to the ground. The kid falls with the body. But yeah, this is a very tragic moment, and this. Yeah, you're just standing there, waiting for him to
I'm gonna ask
finish grieving.
The kid how his. I'm gonna ask the kid how his people send off their departed.
He sobs. We buried them. Apparently.
Well, if you'd like to find a spot.
Yeah, we should help you honor your father.
Thank you. Yeah. So you found a spot.
Because he can't stay here. I'm just kidding.
You found a spot in between the trees. You've you don't have a shovel. I just realized you don't have a shovel. Okay, so I guess you've dug the grave, the shallow grave, with your hands.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So it took you quite a while, but eventually you managed to do that. You've laid Ali to rest. You've made sure that the grave is deep enough so that the animals won't dig it open and devour his body. Then, standing right next to sobbing child, Otto, I presume you've spoken a few words to Ulrich. Even though you're not sure if Ulrich even cares for Strigani, one thing, and the other, Ali wasn't probably a warrior, so
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna say some words in Altharan.
all right, yeah, the Caveo speaks in a strange melodic language, probably some kind of prayer. Francisco, you are.
I'm just keeping quiet while the rest do their thing.
All right, yeah. Waiting for your chance to be alone with the boy, I know. Okay. Well, but yeah, eventually you've finished everything. You've sent Ali away. That's it. Ahmed, when his father...
Can I have
yeah?
suggested to Ahmed to bring his wagon over here, like next to our camp, and then
he won't be able to.
Kind of. Okay.
He won't be able to. There's there's too little space for him to bring the wagon here. And anyway, you saw that when his father got buried, he stopped. He even stopped sobbing, and even though he's still grieving, he says that he'll manage. Thank you, but I'll have to just do this on my own now. Probably his people are accustomed to such things, sad as that may be. Yeah. And with that, he thanked each of you and walked back to his wagon, head lowered. So,
we need to find out where he was before he came over here for our camp.
You know that you won't be probably able to do that.
Well, did we overhear what the conversation Otto was having? Because that might be our only viable lead at this point.
Not really, because Cave was inside and you were, comforting the kid with tales of Estalia.
I tell them that someone suggested that we figure out the Saddle Workers and Leather Workers Guild, where we can find that information, that they may have records of the symbol used, and we can track it down from there. But we need to find a Wolfenburg somewhere in the camp that can point us where to go in the ruined town to look for it.
Let's ask around.
Yep.
Are you guys going to ask?
You guys will probably be better at this than I am. I get weird looks from these people.
We'll try our best. I don't know if I'm gonna be as helpful as you think.
Sorry, I missed that. What's the plan?
We essentially need to find within the camp somebody who can point us in the direction of where to go in the town of Wolfenburg to find out essentially who the symbol belongs to.
Where that guild is.
Yeah.
The rest.
Yeah. So we need to find a person, to find the guild, to find the maker of the flask.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. Can I check my traps while Otto's at it?
Yeah.
Around.
You've caught a small hair in one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm like by myself when I find the rabbit.
I don't know. I presume that you guys are not splitting up, unless you are clearly stating that you do.
Yeah, I'll meet you guys right back here at the camp if you want to find out a way into Wolfenburg to the saddle maker and leather makers guild.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. If that's the task, Francisco is going to kind of keep an eye out for anybody who might be in a position that, like, anybody that might have leather on them, whether it's a satchel or something like that.
99% of people here have some kind of leather on them.
All right. Well, then, I'm just going to go around and ask if they're familiar with, and if I could tell if they're a local from Wolfenburg, I want to go to them first versus just a crusader.
You also won't be able to tell that you're not from the Empire. You don't know how a Wolfenburgian look like or even speak like.
All right. Well, then I'll just ask around.
Yeah, that's the only thing that you can really do. Gossip test. Bran, Cadveo, meanwhile, you return to the traps. Like I said, you found this simple hair. Oh, by the way, Otto, what are you doing? You're staying in the camp?
Yeah, so that was my question, is do I feel like I'm really going to be able to help at all, because I've got so many minuses?
No, not really.
Yeah, so I'm gonna sit near a bucket or
near the hole.
Yeah, near the hole in the ground, yes.
Okay, yeah, and you are just firing away. Okay. Sorry, Calveo again.
So I'm gonna trim the hair, like get the fur off it and gut it and everything. And when I do that, can I put the blood on my knife like against my cloak? Like, is that how it works?
No, it has to be your blood.
Oh, okay.
And it has to be before midnight. At night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll bring the rabbit and the fur back then.
Okay. Francisco, you rode already. Excellent.
No, I just did. That was my storytelling role. That was my gossip role.
The 7 is your gossip roll.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 7 is your good. Excellent. Okay, cool. Yeah, you've been told the directions to the guild house, actually. Okay. Fortunately, it's not too far within the city. It's practically almost right next to the city's walls, or what's left of them.
All
so,
right.
That's good. That's good.
Is it Harold's Pavilion?
No.
Or is it the smithy?
No.
Right.
Like, disregard the legend for now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, disregard the legend. Okay, so you return to the guys. By the way, this did took you like an hour, to ask, just so you know. And so when you return to the guys, it's almost noon. You also saw that Cadway returned to the camp with a small rabbit that he caught in his traps.
Quick question: as far as the rest we took, did we get any hit points back from that?
No, unfortunately not. Okay. Unfortunately not. That's because you are still too wounded and still too sick.
Okay.
You would have to lie in a very, very good bed in a warm inn, with hot meals all day long. So, guys, you see that Francisco returns, coughing slightly and shivering, although he doesn't shiver as much as Otto. Francisco, please.
Yeah, I'm going to inform both of them now that they're back that I have a good lead on where the Craftsman Guild is, and it's not far from the border of town, so it seems reasonable that we might be able to find it. And then it's late afternoon?
No, it's noon.
Noon. It's noon. Yeah.
So,
can we pass the? Let's pass the kids' wagon on the way there.
Very well. Stick to the tree line.
I guess pretty much.
Dry as keep our feet as dry as possible.
Yeah, it's almost, there's this constant light rain. It's very infuriating, but it's there. Don't go anywhere, guys. Just give me like literally few seconds.
Okay. trying to catch up with all my notes.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes.
But I get into it and I have a wireless headset, so I walk around and I pace, and then I realize, oh crap, I should be taking notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't do notes today, because it would have been too frantic going back and forth between the character sheet, the notes, and like my notebook. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna give the rabbit to the kid.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, my character's so jacked up right now. He can't really do much of anything to be.
Yeah, we need a freaking healer. Like, otherwise, we're gonna get nerfed back down to newbie characters before we end up in trouble.
Yeah.
While we're walking to the wagon, I want to talk to you guys about like how you fight or whatever, or how we should fight as a group.
Okay.
If you guys want to pick off the first two guys, I could shoot the third, fourth, and fifth if it's all successful. You know what I mean? So that basically the next turn, if we lose, if you guys are still in combat, I can come in and help, and we've bought ourselves like a little bit of time between the next wave of attacks. You know?
Yeah. So you're pretty much saying that you're a ranged character, and so we have to like set up to where we are ahead of you as much as possible, and then maybe not in front of you.
Like intercept the closest guys, you know?
Yeah. Otto says that one. Otto's like, that's not a problem. That's what I always do. I just run at them with my sword and try to take their heads off.
I'm not useless in hand-to-hand, but like my ranged is so good that it's like it would suck to not be able to use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you should always be a little bit of a ways back, almost as if we're like two parties. So if we ever get confronted, you'll have enough time to deliver whatever and not be caught off guard.
I could also go off to the side or something, you know what I mean? Like, so that from the road it looks like two people traveling, but they're being covered by somebody out in the woods or whatever.
Yeah, like two separate parties just happen to be going the same way.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. So, well, you went somewhere like. Let me just quickly. Like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You're walking between the encampment and the forest, leaving behind your camp. We
were discussing combat, like how our characters fight.
Okay, sure.
Like on the way there. Yeah.
Okay, strengths and weaknesses, sure, stuff like that. Right, you are passing by the wagon. Brian, you want to do anything?
Yeah, I want to knock on the door again and just hang the rabbit there and like start walking back to the group.
All right. You did that. You went back to the group. The kid opened the door, saw the rabbit, saw you, took the rabbit and said, and just waved his hand. He has a sad look on his face, but he thanks you.
I wave it back.
Yeah. Right. And after that. By the way, Brian, was the rabbit choked to death?
It was alive.
No,
I thought he gutted it already.
I thought it was dead. Like, what kind of trap was it?
No, yeah, just kidding. It had its neck broken.
Oh yeah, I found a flask of wine next to it.
That was a trap. You set out poison flasks of wine.
Little rabbit-sized bottles.
Yeah. You are moving past the Ali's and Ahmed's wagon and move towards Wolfenburg. And, well, up until the Chaos Incursion, Wolfenburg was the thriving capital of Ostland, a key trade center in the eastern reaches of the Empire. Like other communities in this part of the world, it bore the brunt of Archaon's forces, and even its tall walls and doughty defenders weren't strong enough to push back the tide of horror. In the end, the city was sacked, burned, its people enslaved, butchered, or scattered. Of the thriving population that live here, only 1,000 or so souls still call Wolfenburg home, and of them, they are a desperate, depressed, and ragged lot. Aveo, you've heard that strange cults, no few of whom wear probably thin masks to conceal their allegiance to the ruinous powers, have descended on the rabble like carrion birds, converting the despairing citizens and bringing them into their despicable fold. The longer Karl France waits in sending relief, the worse the corruption will get until Wolfenburg is overrun by cultists, madmen, and the changed. And you are approaching this place. This horrible, forsaken place. The city is a mess. Hit hard during the Chaos Incursion, few of the original structures remain, being a mass of broken masonry, rubble, charred wood, and the bones of those who died here. Some reconstruction has begun, but since Ostland was never a wealthy province in the first place, it's slow going. The once mighty walls encircling the city have all but toppled, and those that still stand bear the dimples of impacts from stone tossed by catapults. Fortunately for you, because of Francisco's golden tank, you don't have to dig too deeply into the city to find the Leatherworkers Guild house. The converted tavern is located just inside the walls of the city, and you were given directions there, so you had little trouble reaching it. Yeah, that said, you are surrounded by just, by a city that is no longer really here. Most of the buildings have been destroyed, burned. There are piles of rubble everywhere, as I read before. Charred pieces of wood sticking from said piles of rubble. Dead bodies can be found almost anywhere. Most in very late state of decomposition. Many of them just skeletons or piles of bones. This is you doubt that the city will ever truly recover. It's horrible. And yeah, thankfully, the converted tavern, which houses Saddlemakers and the Leatherworkers Guild, has survived the sack of the city relatively intact. You approach the building and you see that the roof has fallen down in places, but there is little fire damage. And once you've entered the building, oh, by the way, I presume that you are walking with your weapons out.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Francisco, you have your Montante, Otto, you have your Zweihander, and Caveo, you have your bow?
Elven bow, yeah.
Alright, yeah. You see that Caveo has a very beautiful bow. It's a long bow, but it's unlike any other you have ever seen.
I'm walking in the back.
Alright. So, I guess that Francisco is walking first, since he's the most healthy of the fighters, like dedicated.
Yeah.
Fighter. Yeah.
It'll be me, then Otto, not far behind, and then how far back are you, Ryan? You're a little bit of a ways, right?
Caveo?
Like 20 feet maybe?
Probably, I would say like 20 yards. I don't know if 20 feet's like 5 paces.
All right, maybe like 10, 15 yards or something. Like, not too far back. I want to be able to...
Yeah.
Alright, to support them. Sure thing.
Yep. Yeah. And to get away from the stench of Otto.
Yeah. Yes, stench of Otto is well known as a rather unpleasant thing.
Everybody has to roll for willpower when fighting Otto.
That said, as you are approaching the building itself and you see it standing, a large chunk of masonry falls from a nearby ruined building that you were just walking under. And now quickly let me see. Okay, I'm rolling. Cavale. It falls towards you. Make me agility test.
Okay. I'll use luck there.
Okay, sure.
I'm testing on a 57. Good lord.
Okay, let's see the random. A large piece of masonry struck you right in the chest for a total of. I don't think it did anything. 4 damage total. Nothing.
No, that wouldn't have done anything.
You were able to jump away just in time. You've avoided, the huge piece of essentially just falling wall, and only a few larger rocks struck your chest, but your armor held. Yeah, Wolfenburg is not a safe place to be in. You quickly entered the place, entered the tavern, which was, remade probably before the invasion to serve as the guild house. The dingy interior you see is undamaged when compared to other buildings in the area. Obviously the place wasn't worth looting, although it's worth noting, unfortunately, that all the tavern's store of ale has long since been stolen. You sift through the rubble, your weapons at the ready, of course, and you quickly locate the door that leads to the guild's main office. The headquarters of the Saddlemakers and Leatherworkers Guild is a single common room, located to the rear of the tavern. Dust covers the floor and the half-dozen tables located around the room's perimeter, no doubt caused by the timber that has fallen through the roof. Apart from that, it is in a decent state. The place is completely deserted. But you can already see that you have plenty of paperwork to sift through if you're looking for evidence.
Yep.
Who's searching?
Otto will try and search.
Okay. Who except for Otto can read and write?
So can I? I don't know if I can. I'm gonna ask Cadvale if we should have a watch, or if he wants me on watch, or
I'll be on watch.
right. Well, I don't know if I can read, so I'll be.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you're just.
I'll be searching for just anything that seems like a book, and then I'm gonna kind of put it aside for Otto to.
There are ledgers here. You don't have to search. You just need to read. If you can't read, you won't be really of any help here.
Can I search for other items?
Like I said, you don't have to roll. You don't find anything here.
Okay. All right.
It hasn't been looted, but the few things that were are completely gone right now. Mainly the ale, right?
Yeah.
Otto, in your feverish state, you begin to sift through the ledgers, looking for the appropriate sign, looking for a name. It takes you an hour to locate ledgers detailing practicing tradesmen, their makers' marks, and bills of sale. It takes you longer still, and after some eye-straining reading, you find a bound leather ledger with a coiled serpent embossed on the cover.
Okay.
You call the guys?
Yep. So look here. Does this look like the same symbol to you?
I'm gonna take the wine skin out and compare it.
It is the same symbol. The exact same.
Alright. So,
the ledger reveals the serpent motif is the maker's mark of one Berger Felix Wendt, a tradesman, down on his luck if the bills of sale in the ledger are anything to go by. And Otto, you also saw that after a little detective work, that the wineskins were not his main line of business. However, each sale is listed. You have half a dozen names to investigate. And I'm going to read them to you, and later I will simply probably upload the handout with this to the group. So
I won't notify it then.
You have name Widow Cursed, location 12B Flay Court, units bought 3, payment received 16 shillings. Then you have Bernd Hessler, location Brewers Guild House, Hops Market, units bought 20, payment received 12 gold crowns. Then you have Boris Leichgard, location Smithy, Lower Wall Walk, units bought 10, payment received 2 geese, a whetstone and 2 tonics. The fourth is Captain Yeller, location Officers' Quarters, Imperial Barracks, units bought 10, payment received 10 gold crowns. Ernst Kranz, The Fiddler's Inn, units bought 5, payment received 16 silver. And finally, Ollo Verhoeven, location Ollo's Panoramas, units bought 5, payment received 16.5 silver. These are the names.
Okay.
I'm just shaking my head at all that talk of currency. What a dumb system. So savage.
So, we have names, but we have no idea where these places are in the city. Right?
You don't know. None of you is a native from Wolfenburg, sadly.
So, I suggest that maybe, because it's pretty late in the afternoon.
It's about 2 p.m. 2:30 p.m.
Perhaps we need to now that we have this information, we need to go back to the camp and see if we can find another Wolfenburger native and see if we can figure out where these
By the way,
are.
you saw people here in Wolfenburg. That said,
okay.
They were, like I said before, they were rabble, scavengers, bone pickers. Most of them ran when they saw you, or kept their distance, or try to hide. But there are people here.
Okay.
Although you came right behind the walls. You are very near the walls of the city. So perhaps, the further you would go, it would be harder for you to find anyone. You don't know. But there are people here.
What say you, gentlemen? Should we continue on searching for these places, or should we go back to the camp and see if we can find somebody who can point us in a direction?
Well, do you think we can narrow down the searches? Some of these seem like very apparent orders. Do any of these orders kind of stand out as unusual?
No.
Well, I was going to say, the only one that sounded unusual to me was the one that was like a gold crown per... but I don't know what. I don't know
probably the wineskin maker. It's not that unusual for people to just fleece others.
Yeah.
Especially if they need something, if they need a large quantities of, for example, wineskins at the double, like right now.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're probably not all the same. They're probably all custom work. But like the larger bulk orders that go to like industries, like if it's going to a garrison, that might be a less likely lead than something like 5 skins going to an individual. That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if Otto remembers. I personally don't remember the specifics of each one of those. I remember there was one that was a guardhouse, like you said. And then there was one that was a tavern.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember what the other.
I think maybe like going by date with the most recent.
Well, wouldn't all these be before the?
Well,
city,
let me just
right?
say that the most recent entry to the ledgers is over 2 months old, and the oldest was over a year ago.
How about this? Like, what leads do you think have documented? Like, if we go to the garrison, there's more than likely going to have a ledger on, I guess, issuances of those flasks, or if it goes to a tavern, there might have yet another issuance. Like, they might have receipts of whoever made a purchase, or if we go to the tavern and they sell wine, maybe that could be a lead. I'm just trying to think.
I just had an idea. Since we have these names, we have what, like 3 names? Was it 4 names?
No, you have 6 names.
6 names. What might be easier is going back to the camp where we know we found people from Wolfenburg, and asking if they know any of these names, and then we can track that person down and see from there.
I don't know if we can identify who we know is from Wolfenburg, though.
It will be very hard for you. I mean, it will take long. And remember, guys, there's one thing. People from Wolfenburg who are in camp probably don't want to return to Wolfenburg. And you have a sneaky suspicion that unless you get a guide of some kind, you won't be able to find these names. Because the city, like I said, is in ruins. There are no characteristic landmarks anymore. There are no streets. This is just one huge pile of rubble. Almost. That said, you could probably, find directions to the barracks, maybe to the hops market and flay court. But for example, Fiddler's Inn or Olos Panoramas or the smithy, that would probably be a bit harder.
Well, I guess we can, if we want to do immediate stuff, perhaps we can find one of the rabble here in the rubble.
We can try. I mean, I don't know how we're gonna find our way around this town.
That's what I mean. I think finding help is a requirement.
All right. Well, so as our next set to capture a local,
Okay.
and make them take us around.
Right. Jason, how much time do you have left?
Not much.
So I think we can end right now.
Okay.
Because I presume you have 5 minutes probably, something like that.
Yeah, I'm a little flexible, but if we get into something, then I'm going to be going over for sure. So if it now's a good stopping point, then I would vote for.
Okay, so let's just end on one thing. You guys go outside the tavern, the inn, and you are searching for a guide of some kind, right?
Yes.
How do you want to do this? Because that's important for the role. How do you plan on finding a guide here? And who will be doing the finding?
We probably almost have to ambush somebody, and then, otherwise they're going to be scurrying off.
Okay, everyone roll for intelligence.
But,
Oh, nice.
My minus 20. Nope.
Francisco, you know that if you ambush somebody and it will probably won't go nicely. Assuming that the person won't defend itself, he or she will probably try and escape first chance you get. That said, you guys have food on you, and you saw Wolfenburgers from a distance. How horribly thin and malnourished they were. You probably guess that the best way to deal with that, with hiring a guide, would be to pay him or her with either food or, probably less likely, money.
We've got this poison wine here.
Yeah. I don't mean
you
I
help
don't
us out,
I don't
we'll
mean
give you this
alcohol.
flask of wine.
Don't mean alcohol. I mean food, like foodstuffs, meat,
Yeah.
bread, cheese, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll be ending the game for today. Just something for you to think about. We can make the rows next time, like searching rows and stuff like that. Okay. Since you are like in a quite hurry, Jason, let's just say for today's game everyone gets 80 points.
Okay.
And yeah, that's it. Yeah, it went pretty nicely today, I must say. What about 31st of May? Oops.
I think that's okay.
Should be good.
I think I'm good.
Okay. So let's set our game for the 31st of May next time. Yeah, cool, awesome. Brian, I will send you the item in a different way so that you'll be able to read it. You've already. I mean, you said that you've already read it, right? Or not?
No, I haven't. I couldn't get it to open.
Okay. So I'm going to send it to you today. Okay, guys. I'll see you on 31st. Okay, stay safe.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks.
cool.
You too.
Yeah, thank you,
All right,
guys.
see
Bye
you.
bye.
All right, bye.